Welcome to my 2024 techo kaigi video. Okay, so today has been a very, very long day. Today's January 1st. That's when I'm recording this. I believe I'm going to be either posting this on the 2nd or on the 3rd, depending on whether I can get to finishing the editing on time. Be that as it may, it will be going out, should be published first week of January. But today, January 1st, I've been up since 6:30 in the morning. I don't know how I did that because I couldn't go to sleep until very, very late. It was past 1 a.m. and I still couldn't fall asleep, even though I had the full intentions of sleeping through midnight. But I was able to wake up at 6 in the morning, and I have been recording and scheduling content and all that stuff because January is going to be a very, very intense month. I am participating in Junk Journal January. If you haven't seen that, I'm going to be posting daily updates on YouTube and Instagram. I'll have everything linked below for you guys to check out if you're interested in that. But anyways, the reason for this video, we're going to be doing the techo kaigi for 2024. My planner and journal stack, I guess. Yeah, so we're going to be setting this up, or rather we are going to be dividing up the video, and I will leave chapters for this if you are only interested in a certain aspect of the techo kaigi. We're going to be splitting it up into planners, so the functional notebooks that I will be using for planning and all that good stuff, the creative outlet journals or the memory keeping journals, which will be for creative outlets or memory keeping, as the title insinuates. And then field notes covers for me an array of things. So I'm going to have it in its own separate little section to kind of explain how I use the field notes, the different ways that you can also use them. So disclaimer, because it's a hot topic in the community lately, this is what I will be using. Some of these were purchases that I did make on impulse, but I will be using throughout the year. Next year, I might not need as many. Next year, I might need more. That's something that I won't know. I'm going to be using this now in January and seeing how it works. If it doesn't, we will adapt. And yeah, everyone uses what everyone prefers and what works for them. This is what I'm going to be using. Use it as inspiration, not influence. And as always, take what you like and leave the rest. And with that being said, let's get started with our planners. So for 2024, these are the planners that I will be using. I will be using 2 hobonichi weeks. One is the Mega and one is the 𝙦𝙬𝙦𝙦 cat. I don't know the title of this, but you know which one it is. If you are into the hobonichi lineups, then you know which one this is. This is a very popular cover in the community. I do have a setup video for this one, so I will link that in the cards. Feel free to check that out. And here's how I will be using them. So the main planner will be the hobonichi weeks Mega. And I apologize for the glare, but this is my main planner for work. I can't really show you what's inside because it is sensitive information, but I will be posting at some point during this week as well, or if not early next week, the January reset video, which will show me setting up this planner. So keep an eye out for that. Once that is live, I'll go ahead and add it into the cards. So if you see it up above, that means that it's live at this point that you're watching it. This is where I will have all of my planning. So everything from day-to-day activities, appointments, work-related tasks for my 2 businesses, what have you. This is the planning notebook. My whole life will be planned inside here. And then in my regular weeks, this one is going to be for my social media planning. So in here, I will be, working out content calendars, writing down when I post things, how often I do, and then those will live inside my Camel Traveler's Notebook. Inside here, I just house a few different inserts. So I house a mind mapping insert and kind of like a brain dump insert when I need to kind of plan out and get out of my head, get a bunch of stuff out from my head and onto paper. This is the insert that I use. I also created a insert that I am testing out for social media planning. So I have been working off of different systems. I've used Notion, Trello. I'm planning on maybe trying out Todoist. Let me zoom you in. And I've realized that I really prefer a analog form of doing this, kind of like having a checklist for when I am planning out videos and their respective statistics. So I am trialing this insert, this printable. I went ahead and just bound it myself with the saddle stitch, and there are a few changes that I have to make to it. And so I've just printed a few test pages to kind of see what works, see what I want to adapt. And I will be using this in conjunction with the weeks. I will be using it for social media planning and keeping track of statistics. Aside from the mind mapping, I also have a reference insert that I also can't show you. That is just for different information that I need to access for client work. So as I've mentioned in other videos, but in case you're new here, aside from the creative aspect of my business, I also have another business, which is administrative virtual assistant services. And so I have a few clients on that end, and there's some information that I need to be referencing often in the works that I do. And that is what the reference insert is for. So normally the way that this would work is I will keep my social media planner here in the back because I'm not always having to access this. I tuck this into the sleeve, and then I have my Mega out front so that it's easy. I can just access it quickly without having any major issues with like having to open it and closing it again. For the most part, this does just live on my desk. And then if I ever have to access any of the other information, then I take out my traveler's notebook insert or my traveler's notebook cover. So those are my planners for 2024. Next up are my sort of creative, more memory keeping style journals. And to start that off is this 𝙦𝙧𝙚𝙦𝙦 1917 that I had, that I bought, I don't know how many years ago. I had originally bought it for, I think it was even prior to the pandemic. It's one of those notebooks. I am a notebook person. I love buying notebooks. It is a problem, and I have a bunch of them that are unfinished. So I decided to use this one for morning pages because it's just a grid paper, and I don't have to be precious about it. So I just do my morning pages in here, and once it's done, it's done. And yeah, I really like it for that because I like the size, the A5 size for morning pages, taking inspiration from Jess over at Plan by Jyla and trying to use up the things that I have instead of buying more things. So that is that one. Very simple. Next up is my hobonichi Weeks Mega Self-Care and Wellness planner. I also the setup video for this is the same video as the setup for the blue work planner linked up above. This is what I will be using for my health and wellness and self-care related things. Essentially, I'm going to be tracking in here health related stuff when I have migraines, when I do physical activities, my sleep. What else? Let me see. I can probably show you this. So this was last week of December. I'm tracking habits. I'm tracking the meals that I have. I'm tracking sleep times. I'm tracking the weather because the weather makes me happy. I love tracking the weather, and I love using my temperature dots to add them. The little pops of color makes me very, very happy. So I track times, and I track through graphs this energy and stress tracker that I have here is inspired by Kate from Planning My Energy. I track how many steps I do and my coffee intake, and then I have a in the back of the notes pages, I keep track of body talk and emotional thoughts as I need it. Sometimes I do it daily, sometimes I don't. It's just on a need-to-need basis. But essentially, this is going to be for self-care and for health tracking, both emotional and physically. And then I have my Paper Test Designs B6 and my Traveler's Notebook dark brown, my beauty, where I housed my media system in 2023. Currently, right now, I just have, as you've seen, my little sticker pouch, my sticker insert, and then I have this 2024 traveler's notebook insert that I had originally purchased because I thought I was going to use it for something else, and I ended up deciding that I didn't want to use it for that. So I have this random insert, and instead of just not using it, I am trying to figure out a use for it. I had thought maybe gratitude, but I am keeping my gratitude in my months of the self-care journal. So what I'm thinking I might do is do a sticker a day in here, some sort of creative journaling. I haven't 100% decided what I want to do. I did start using it as a sort of content planner, but I didn't really like the sizing of it. So this is to be determined, but it is going to be used up because I did pay for it, so I'm going to use it, but I probably won't be repurchasing this again next year. So this is kind of in the works, what's going to be in here, but it is going to be used for creative purposes. And then my paper chest designs, I do have a setup video for that linked up above as usual. And this is going to be my memory keeper, memory journal, and my media journal. So this is my pride and joy. I'm very excited to be using this. I used a conjunction of traveler's notebook inserts and a hobonichi weeks in 2023 for my media journal and my memory keeping system, and decided that I wanted to have it all together. So that is what I will be using this one for. And I have trialed a few different layouts out here in the back of the note pages, and have a slight idea of what I want to be doing. But the month of January is really going to be a trial month when it comes to this baby. And I will be doing the setup for January in that January reset video, so keep an eye out. And that is pretty much it for my creative and memory keeping type journals. And then we have field notes. So I did mention that I used field notes for a few different things in my 2023 techo kaigi, linked up above. And some of that has not changed, and there is going to be, or actually most of that hasn't changed, but there is going to be one additional thing that I'm going to be doing in 2024 with the field notes, or two additional things actually. So these two are new and these two are the same. So I have field notes everywhere. I have a few splayed around the house, and they're kind of catch-alls, but this one is a media buddy, and essentially it's just for me writing down my reactions and my theories as I'm watching movies or TV shows, and it's just a little register of my reactions as I watch them, kind of like live tweeting or live texting, but in a notebook. And this is the same one that I showed in my 2023 techo kaigi. I haven't finished it. I don't do this for every single thing I watch. It's just when I'm in the mood. Specifically, I tend to do it more for like when it's horror or suspense or mystery, sci-fi, things that tend to have plot twists or tend to leave you guessing. I like using this because then you can see kind of like what your theories were as you were watching it, and how off base they were or how correct they were. So that is staying the same. And then this is my, actually, before I talk about this one, let's talk about this one. This is new. This one is housing my daily haikus. So I had watched a video a few months back. I can't remember who the creator was, but I will link them down below. And she had been using a hobonichi weeks to do daily haikus. And I really liked that idea. And I was also going to do that in my hobonichi weeks, but I ended up getting a field notes and just doing it that way. And I have, for the most part, when I started, I was doing it daily. I kind of have fallen off a little bit, but I'm just going to house my haikus in here. So let me just show you an example of one. Which one do I want to show? I don't know, like, I think my favorite one is probably too depressing for some people, but I was having a particularly bad day, and when it comes to like comparison and comparing myself to other creators and kind of you know, the things that happen. And I wrote this one. I wrote, such an ugly thing, comparison companion. It's that weight fills me. Yeah, I really like that one. And actually, the one I did want to show was for the end of the year. With the strike of 12, November came and went too. Welcome, December. Short days, longer nights, time flowing to blinking beats. Present becomes past. So I really enjoy the act of creating daily haikus. It's a form of memory keeping because they usually end up having to do with something that happened during the day. And I am a writer, so I really enjoy it. So I'm going to keep with that. And then if I finish this one, then I will just get another one. But I am using right now the field notes to house my daily haikus. And then we come to this portion of the field notes. So I had mentioned that I have two common placing systems in my 2023 techo kaigi. I did part of that in my weeks and part of this in here. So the way that my brain works, I need to have two separate systems because I have a reference commonplace system where it is just things that I need to reference on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month, more like technical or specific. Like for example, this one houses like best times to post a YouTube video or recipes for plant soil or type of insulation that would work for my house, right? It's more reference, things that I do need to come back to that are more technical. Whereas when I was using my weeks, that's more creative oriented. And I was thinking about this last night when I couldn't sleep about this video. And I think I'm going to call it my humanities commonplace, right? Because it's about poetry and quotes and literature and art and philosophy. And again, I'm a writer. And so I like compiling a lot of things like that inspire me, that, you know, I really like media compilations, right, where you get these themes and these motifs that repeat in different medias, and you can kind of like cross-reference them and see how us human beings just keep coming back to certain things, right? And those creative compilations, those are what live in like the creative humanities portion of my commonplace system. Now, since I'm no longer going to be using the weeks and the system in my media journal is a little bit different, I decided after watching Dozy Ghoul's commonplace video, I kid you not, I think I watched that video maybe 10 times on Friday because it was just making my brain like happy. And after watching her video so many times, I decided that I was going to try out the field notes as a commonplace system. I had gone back and forth between using a rings and a field notes for the commonplace, and I think I'm going to try field notes first. So, and I have like a million of them anyways, so I went ahead and did that. I am going to be copying over the commonplace quotes that I have in my weeks over to here. So once I do that, I will go ahead and show that. So to be determined or to be shown what I end up setting this up as, but I will be using field notes again as my commonplace system, now twofold, right? Because I already used it before as a reference commonplace, but now I'm going to be using it also as my humanities creative commonplace system. So the field notes really covers a lot of bases for me. I think that they are so useful. I love their size and their portability and the fact that you can finish one so quickly, but also pack so much information inside. But anyways, this is not a sponsored video. I don't need to be talking about field notes that way, but that's just really how I feel, right? Like I really love how I can use field notes in so many different ways. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I got for you. So I have my field notes, I have my media journal and memory keeping system, I have my self-care planner or self-care wellness journal, I have my work planner, my social media system, and my morning pages. That's pretty much it. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 notebooks plus the field notes. In terms of planning, I really only have 2 planners. and then everything else is for creative journaling or memory keeping. And that is my system. That is what I enjoy using. It is also, maybe I wouldn't necessarily need as many next year, but I did go through a little phase where I was experimenting and purchasing things impulsively in 2023, and so now 2024 me has to live with that and kind of make the best of what I've already purchased. And so this is the system that I came up with. I'm really happy because I, for a long time, was so unsure on how I was going to use these weeks, and I was like, man, it can't be that I'm gonna have paid for, you know, these journals and not know how to use them. Aside from this, the only other thing that I still am not sure what I'm going to be using is the hobonichi weeks with the cat in the center, the blue one with the cat in the center. I did originally purchase that one to be my media journal, but I am using the paper test for that. So that one, I am temporarily going to be using it for backdating my 2022 media journal, and that's the plan for that one. But I'm not going to do that just yet because I want to make sure that I really like doing the media journaling and the memory keeping in the paper test designs. If it ends up being that I'm not happy with it, you know, come March, for example, come the end of the first quarter, then I will go into that one as my media journal. But I'm keeping that on the back burner for now. If I don't end up needing that for 2024, then I will be using that for 2022. So not all is lost. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me today on this video. I hope that it gave you some ideas of how you can use your journals, and stay tuned for the January 2023, the January reset, where I will be setting up my self-care, work, and media journals, so you can get some inspiration on those setups. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.